Hello friends, today I have 4 pumpkins made from those wire wreath forms from Dollar Tree. I had a whole bunch of them and I didn't know what to do with them, so I thought I'm just going to do a whole video and just see what all I can come up with. Some I was inspired from other folks and some I just came up with out of my own head. So let's get started and see what I made. Here I'm starting with one of the wreath forms and some of this raffia that comes in a 3-pack from Hobby Lobby. Of course I got it when it was 40 or 50% off. And I'm just going to wrap this all around the entire wire wreath form. Now, I had something else in mind when I started this project and it evolved into something else. So this was semi-inspired by the Shabby Tree. If you aren't familiar with her, she has a storefront, I think, in Georgia, and she has Instagram, she has Facebook, she has all the things. So definitely check her out. She's got some really cool, lots of rustic stuff. Really love her stuff. Anyway, this was semi-inspired by her. So I'm just showing you how I glued that at the very end and tied it off. Now, the entire thing is covered in that raffia. Now, this burlap was some that was gifted to me. If you've seen some of my previous videos, you may have seen me use it. And it was that kind that you cinch up and use as a ruffle. It was used in a wedding. And so I'm going to use it for this project. It's going to be perfect. So I'm going to use these little clamps a lot in this video from Dollar Tree. I've over time purchased several sets of them. Every time I would go in, I would just buy another set. So I've accumulated several sets of them and they come in super handy. So you can see here I'm just going in and out, weaving in and out with that, and then I'm just trying to bunch it up down at the bottom, and I'm going to ultimately glue the edges, and I'm going to use some twine to tack it in a few places. So I'm going to show you how I do that as soon as I get through picking and poking and pulling and showing you how I did that, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to first secure this end with some twine because it was a little bit hard to work with, a little bit. But once I got the hang of it, it flowed pretty easily. So tied that in a knot, got that one done. Now I'm going to do the other side the same way. Now when I go to the next layer, I'm going to weave it in and out the opposite way. So if it's on top of one side, on this one it's going to be on the bottom side. You'll see when I start doing it. Okay, here I am securing with some twine, just securing it to that bottom so I'm not having to use a whole ton of hot glue. I use plenty of hot glue on this, don't get me wrong, but see here I'm telling you I'm going the opposite way I did on the last one. And then I'm going to tuck it behind, but on the other side it tucks to the front. So I'm going to show you how I managed that. So I am going to use hot glue on this part. I'm just going to put a lot of glue there. I'm going to bend it over with my finger protectors and a spatula. I'm going to secure this down without burning myself because the last couple DIYs I've done, I have burned myself pretty bad. So I'm going to use those little clamps to hold that in place. Oh, first I'm going to sew some little twine through there. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble finding my words tonight. Okay, this is the front of the wreath now. And this end of it happens to come up on the front. So I'm just going to tuck it, make a nice smooth edge, and tuck it over and glue it down. And when you get through and it's all fluffed up, it looks fine. Trust me, it'll be fine. Everything's fine. It's gonna be fine. Now on these ends, I decided that I was gonna take the twine and cinch it up a little bit, not too tight, and then it would be easier to glue down. So that's what I did here on out. You know, it's like you learn as you go, and by the time you get through with the project, you have figured it out. So here it is, all finished. I just kept going all the way up to the top, in and out, in and out. Now I'm using some darker of the raffia that was in that package, and I'm gonna go around the stem of this, or peduncle of this pumpkin, and just tie it off. And then I'm going to use 2 or 3 strands at a time to make it thicker, to, you know, make it a little bit easier. We're going to work smarter, not harder. And I'm going to go in and out, in and out, in and out, back and forth, in somewhat of a weaving pattern, and to make this just look a little bit different than my regular wrap it in twine. And I just am tying it off there in the middle because I didn't really want to stop. I just wanted to keep going. So I just tied it off and just kept going in and out. See how I'm going in and out, in and out, in and out, back and forth all the way. And then I did glue it a little bit right there because we're kind of in a weird spot. There I go, using that clamp again. Okay, so I just did that through the whole thing, and I kept pushing it over and pushing it over so it would be thick, and there it is, finished. I'm going to stick a little hot glue down there and secure that, and it's not really going to show because we are going to put some embellishments there. Now, you've seen me do this on my videos before too. I wet that raffia, wrap it around that dowel rod, and dry it with my heat gun, and it makes the cutest little spiral. Now, I have this faux leather leaf from Dollar Tree, and I changed my camera angle here so I could hold it up straight and see what I was doing. Sorry if it's not pleasant to watch, but I thought this would be easier to see. And these 2 cute little burlap flowers from Dollar Tree that they have this year. They may have had them last year too, I don't know, but I am in love with them. I want to put them on everything. They just scream fall to me. And then I put a few pieces of that yellow raffia, just random here and there, sticking out. So you'll have to let me know what you think about how this this one turned out. Okay, now I have this canvas drop cloth, which you all know I love my canvas drop cloth. I'm going to cut it into some little strips. I'm using the original one that I cut, that I used as my template, and I cut a ton of them. And then I just ripped the edges a little bit to have the raw edges. That didn't hardly do any. I cut so many strips of that. And then I'm going to just tie it onto this entire wreath form, all the way around the edges and all the way down the ribs. And I just tied it in a little simple knot one time and then just pushed them around. So I did 3 in between there, and then 3 in between the next one, and all the way around the edges. And I'm not going to show you all this because I'm not going to lie, it took me a while. I just put a video on and watched the video while I did this. Now on this part, I kind of did them in the middle and then pushed them to the edge, to the top or the bottom. That made it a little bit easier. This did take a little patience, but it was worth it in the end for sure. Now, for the stem on this, I had made this for a previous project, decided not to use it, but it's just some twine wrapped around a piece of cardboard, and I'm going to use some of that drop cloth around this to give that stem something to sit on. And unfortunately, I did not record the embellishments that I put on this, but I did use a burlap leaf from Dollar Tree, and a wood rose from Dollar Tree, and some of that beautiful pitberry vine, also from Dollar Tree. And I just glued that all on there how I saw fit. I hope that you like this one. Let me know what you think. I was really struggling this day with recording, so I did miss some footage on this too. This was a piece of faux leather upholstery fabric that my mom had given me, a huge piece of it. I've been using it, and I just measured it to fit this pumpkin wreath form, and I'm just gluing it down around the edges. I did cut a few little slits. I'm going to show you a couple of times how I did that. I am using my clamps to hold that glue till it gets nice and dry, cooled down. I'm going to trim this down a little bit at the top because I did just cut a big square big enough to go that would fit around it. I'm making sure that I didn't, cut it too short. Make sure because it's a round surface, it's a little bit more difficult. So I just temporarily, because you need to gather it a little bit because it's a rounded surface. So I'm going to show you how I found that it was easy to do this. I turned it over to make sure that it was even on the front side, and making sure that it's really nice and taut, pulling it so that that's really nice and taut and it's not loose on the front. Then I'm going to cut some little slits. You see that? I don't cut it all the way to the wreath form, and then I'm going to just stick some glue under there and mash it down a little bit with my spatula, but then hold it for a few seconds with those little clippies. And those little clippies have those little silicone rubber tips on them, which does not stick to the glue, which is nice. Now, sometimes I would see how I'm doing that side first and then go back to the one before it, because it just laid better that way. So kind of be aware when you're doing a rounded surface like this that sometimes you may have to do the one before it to make it fit and make it lay nice. And then, you can flip it back over. I flipped it back over. See, I'm flipping it over to make sure that it's all laying right. And then here it is all finished. And then I just took some twine and wrapped it around that all the way to the top. Then I have these beautiful fall leaves that I got at Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to wrap it around there, hot glue it in place. And then I'm going to add a little piece of cotton, a little bowl of cotton. I went and picked some fresh cotton, some real cotton, and I didn't use it because it was dark and dirty looking. But here's the finished product. Let me know what you think. I'm going to use 2 of those wreath forms in this project, and I took them outside and I spray painted them in this, I believe it's called Serenity Blue by Rust-Oleum spray paint. And now I'm going to just take some zip ties and I'm going to zip tie these together. Now, we're not going to be able to see these in the end. We're going to cover all these up. So I'm going to do a few on the bottom and one on the top. And I kept trying to make this perfect and even and match up, and you know what? It doesn't. But in the end, you can kind of bend it around and make it work. So just be patient with it. So I put, I don't remember how many zip ties. I think I put 3 on the bottom and 1 on the top. And then I did go back with some embroidery yarn, embroidery floss, and tried to get it as close to that color as I could, and tied a couple places on the top just for a little extra security up there. And I'm going to apologize for the camera angles because it was really hard to try to film this and show you exactly what I'm doing. And when I changed the camera angle, apparently I hit the record in slow-mo mode. I apologize for that too, so I'm going to just actually just show little clips of it. So there it is, all put together. And I'm going to take this thicker jute rope and I'm going to wrap it around our little stem, peduncle, whatever you want to call that. You can call it whatever you want to. And I'm just going to wrap it all the way around the top and I'm actually going to cover the top as well. I'm just going to add hot glue up there and wrap it around until it's all covered and you can't see that blue wire at all. And some of my blue did scratch off a little bit, but I really didn't mind. This is not really a very rustic piece, but I still liked it. Also, while I was spray painting, I spray painted a little block of scrap wood and a small repurposed candle jar. So you'll see that later, and I didn't get that on camera because I was outside, it was windy, it was hot, I was just trying to get it done. Okay, so here's that all finished. Now I have this piece of scrap wood. This was some flooring scraps that my sister-in-law found on the side of the road for me. Thank you, Christy. And I'm just going to use my staple gun, and I'm just going to put a bunch of staples across the bottom of that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's holding it pretty good. And so I just go all along the bottom of that and staple it down. You can see there, I put staples along that bottom. And then I am going to go in with some Fix-All adhesive from the Dollar Tree. And I start out trying to use this popsicle stick, which was kind of ridiculous. I ended up just squirting it all over those staples because I didn't want any of it to come out. And so I just put that all down there. And then when I took my little, I'm showing you now, I'm going to show you, see it's all slow motion. I'm going to clean that off, and then I'm going to put a little bit of Vaseline. I'm going to take a little bit of Vaseline and just wipe it around this and put the lid, before I put the lid on, and then it won't stick. So I've seen a lot of people do that. I can't even remember the first person. I think According to Kat, I think was the first one that I saw do that. Okay, now there's that little block of wood I was telling you that I painted with that same color paint. And I am going to use a little hot glue with it and just press it down. I'm going to use that Fix-All and a little hot glue to use this little candle jar. This was just a little empty candle jar. I think I had spray painted it white one time, and now I spray painted it this beautiful blue color. And I did go over it with some skeleton key. I think it was skeleton key just at the top, just to give it a little bit of dimension. Now I'm going to just hot glue some Spanish moss to the base of our little peduncle and along the top, just a little bit, not go crazy. And you know, sometimes it's in a long strip, and I just sort of wound it around there, and so that it would hold up better. And I didn't have to use a whole lot of hot glue. I just tacked it in there. Then I have this beautiful ribbon that I got last year on clearance at, I want to say I got this at Joann's, and it is beautiful. And so I am just in slow motion. This is hilarious. And I'm going to dovetail the ends, and this is wired, and I did not glue it down. I'm just going to let it free flow down the sides. And I'm going to put some more of that Spanish moss around the base of that candle and all around the bottom, and glue it down to the wood a little bit so you don't see any of that base down there. Now I have these leaves and acorns. I believe I got these at Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to glue two of them together to make them a little thicker so that they're a little more substantial. And I'm going to use the Tap Bond Quick and Thick glue, and I like to paint it on so it gets everywhere. And then I'm going to use my handy dandy little clips again. They are so handy, I'm telling you. And I'm going to clamp them down, and then I'm going to use a little jar paint to set it on so that it can be flat to dry. I'm going to do the same thing with the acorn. And that Tap Bond dries pretty quick. So once it got dry, I'm going to use my custom mixed color that I mixed together. And at this point, I don't even remember. I know I started out with Farm Fresh by DIY, but I can't remember, honestly, what I mixed with it. But I'm showing you there how beautiful it dries down, and I was trying to match some of the colors in that ribbon, and look how beautiful it is. And then I'm matching the gray. So I'm using this Rust-Oleum gray paint that I've had forever. I love it. And then I've got this darker gray paint. It looks like I've mixed that too. It's in one of my little jars. And then I took that darker gray, and I'm just going to define the edges a little bit I think I used that on the leaf too. I kind of defined the edges a little bit with that on the leaf. Now I'm going to put the leaf and the acorn down at the base of that candle. I'm going to put a little simple shoestring twine bow on each one of them. Leave me a comment and let me know which one of these pumpkin wreaths was your favorite. I hope you enjoyed these pumpkin wreaths. Let me know in the comments below which one of them was your favorite. And are you inspired to go out to Dollar Tree and get one of those wire wreaths? Let me warn you, only buy one, maybe two. Leave me a comment, thumbs up, you know, hit the subscribe button. You know all the things to do to help my channel grow. I appreciate each and every one of you. I really do. But remember to be still and know that He is God.